Welcome. It's another Fireside chat. This one's special, near and dear to my heart. I had Joe Ansley, vocalist for the Indianola, Iowa band Index Case. I met him in 2009, 2008, somewhere in there. His band played a couple shows with my band at the time, one being a wedding. It comes up, and then we've just kind of maintained some sort of an semblance of friendship since then. He's a much more prettier and famous person than I am, so it was always one of those. But he ended up doing ghost hunting with their band's old manager, who was also my band's manager at that time. You'll hear a name Chad come up. That's the guy. So he came on. We talked about a bunch of his ghost hunting stuff. Some band shit came up. Somewhere in the middle, the medium that we were using to record took a dump, so there's probably going to be a weird hard cut that Eric is going to have to figure out, but that's why we love her. Yeah, so with all that being said, please, listen to Index Case. Very, very, very good band. Always been a fan. And then, enjoy this. Fuck yes. So the first thing, because I was doing research, what is Index Case? What do you guys consider yourselves? Because that's how we met.
Hey, what do you mean?
Like, what's your genre?
Oh, dude, fucking NuMetal.
That's okay. That's what I was hoping the answer was going to be. I mean, people argue it's metal, NuMetal.
I think that we're NuMetal. I don't know, man. That's tough because back in the NuMetal days, we didn't want to be NuMetal. You know what I mean? We wanted to be something different. But then, like looking back now, that movement or whatever was kind of special, and we were part of the movement. So that was our era. That was our time. So whether we sounded like the rest of the NuMetal bands or not, we were NuMetal.
For sure. And for anyone that isn't aware, and that you guys formed in 1998, I believe.
1998, correct.
Yeah, and Indianola, which is just south of Des Moines. I was once corrected for saying it was just Des Moines, but kind of came up the same time with like Slipknot and shit too.
When we started playing in basements, and then by the time we were playing gigs at Harry Mary's in Des Moines, that's when Slipknot was already gone. They released their first album. They were out of here. That's when they just started blowing up.
Yeah.
So we were right on the cusp of that. We kind of entered the Harry Mary scene after they left.
Nice. Well, as much as I would love to sit and talk about your band that I've been in love with since we met,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, for sure. We should probably talk about your ghost hunting experiences. The whole reason you're here.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know about my ghost hunting experiences.
Yeah, which is kind of weird, but also like the only reason I know about them is because of the link that binds us, and following that, and then seeing you do your shit, which brought us to this point. So,
right.
I kind of want to just let you go in any direction you want, because I only know what I've seen, and we just recently started talking about this.
Yeah.
And further backstory is like, I've known you for like I think 15 years ago we met when we played a wedding. But like,
was it a wedding?
We did Chase's wedding, and then we played a bar in Sheboygan.
Okay, so I remember that bar in Sheboygan too.
Was that? Skip her in.
Yeah,
I have that poster hanging in my basement. Actually, I printed it off when we bought this house.
I feel like I played that same bar or that same night or something with was Lionheart on it or something? That hardcore band Lionheart.
Yeah, you guys. Well, didn't you do a night before or after that run?
We might,
because we only did the 2 in a row.
Right.
Yeah, we did like Friday at that bar, and then Saturday was the wedding. The only time I've ever played a wedding.
Yeah, same. Very
strange.
Very strange.
Super strange. Yeah, I just saw Chase not too long ago. We played in just south of Appleton, and he came, and same old fucking Chase, man.
Yeah,
so
Chase has always been down, man.
For sure.
So yeah, anyways, as Index Case was kind of doing our thing and touring and stuff like that, our manager Chad was doing some independent filmmaking, and he got entered into this kind of contest where like 5 different like directors and stuff were competing for this. This is before like there were actually TV shows of ghost hunting, so it was all like webisodes, and they were competing with Yahoo, and it was kind of a contest, and they didn't know what the prize was. They just like Chad just kind of knew some people there, so he got kind of slipped in, and was part of this contest. Well, he ended up winning it. Well, it ended up being a webisode series Yahoo was going to do with Steven Spielberg, and Chad won it. And so, of course, Chad managing us was like, well, what if I got this band that I manage that I love that has music that would be perfect for these webisodes. And so that's kind of how it all started. It started with using these webisodes to promote our music, but then it ended up with me being in the Yahoo studios, and I'm just discussing things. And I remember one of the guys at the table was like, hey, can we go into the green room? We want to put a camera on you and just tell a story about a funny story about when you were touring or something like that. And after we were done, they were like, it kind of just was like, hey, we want him to be a cast member. So I did, man, it was so long ago. I can't even remember where we went, but it was just US. We were trying to get clearance to go to like Egypt and stuff. They wanted us in like Egypt, like going to these haunted, like, you know what I mean? Like ancient shit, but we couldn't get clearance because we were American. So it was a bad time to be an American in Egypt at that time. It was too dangerous. So we did all these US dates, and we went to the like US's most haunted places and stayed in them for a weekend with just handheld cameras. It was all filmed like guerrilla style. So like it was just like a scare factor type thing or whatever. And there was like 4 personalities, you know, and that's kind of where it started. So I kind of, for me, it started out with, oh my God, this is going to be a cool way to promote my music, you know?
So leading up to that point, like, had you ever been interested in ghost hunting or paranormal or anything like that?
You know, dude, I've been terrified of it. I remember when Chad told me about it, I was like, dude, hell no. I was like, I don't care what the deal is, man. I was like, I can't handle it. Like I have my anxiety about it is like as a kid, I was terrified of like the thought of a ghost, like, you know what I mean? So I was just scary movies, scared the shit out of me. I think it's just the anxiety of like waiting for something to happen, you know, that like
Mm,
terrifies me. So sitting in a dark room where somebody's told you is haunted by a little boy or something that whistles at you, you know what I mean? And you're just
yeah.
sitting there like having a panic attack because you're just waiting for this to happen. So I never, ever, ever, ever had a passion or a desire for it whatsoever. It just kind of landed on me. And I thought, what a great way to promote the band. And then it just kind of turned into this thing that I did for like 5 or 6 years.
It's fucking wild the shit that we will do to try to push our bands, huh?
Dude, 100%. I would never, ever in my life thought about doing that. And the whole time I'm just thinking, you got to do this for the guys, man. Like, somebody's got to do this and you have to do it for the guys.
So what was the first place that you guys went to?
The very first place, oh man, I don't even remember. It might have been Queen Mary, the ship in Long Beach, or it might have been West Virginia State Penitentiary.
Okay.
I can't remember the very first, because we did a lot of stuff before we went and actually filmed. We went to a lot of places, just like meeting people and doing just like random ghost hunts, you know, with like
Mhm.
psychics and stuff like that. I'm probably wrong because it's been such a long time ago and I've been to a lot of places, but I have a weird feeling that it's West Virginia State Penitentiary.
Was that the Ghost Prophecies? Is that what it ended up being? No, or that's a TV show,
That
right?
was Ghost Prophecies was Ghost Prophecies was kind of what this whole thing turned into. So
Okay.
um, we were actually going to have a TV show on A&E, and they called that one the Ghost Prophecies. Man, I should have like done a little bit of research on my own life before I came into this because I can't even remember some of these haunted places that I've been to. Or I remember doing like all the promo for Ghost Prophecies, and it was in the same studio that the South Park guys recorded in. So
Oh
like
shit.
when we were driving in, they had like mirrors under the cars and drug dogs and stuff like that because they were getting bombed. They were getting bomb threats from making fun of like Osama bin Laden and stuff, you know.
Oh
So
shit.
I remember like heavy security. Ghost Prophecies went to a few places. Some hotel in Cimarron, New Mexico, I believe, was the first episode of that one. So after the webisodes took us like all over the place. Waverly Hills Sanitarium was a big one in
I
Louisville,
remember watching
Kentucky.
that one.
Um, that one, that one we've been to a few times. One time we had the guys from the band 10 Years there with us, and did kind of like a what's it going to be like to put a bunch of band dudes in this haunted place for 3 days, you know. That one's a very memorable one. Then it just kind of turned into that kind of went away. I don't know. I didn't have anything to do with the deals or the business side of it, and it just kind of turned into Chad doing his own thing, and then us being involved in that, and it turned into like more of an online thing, and then doing like we ended up doing like quite a few like seminars, and like people would hire us to come and talk about our experiences, colleges and stuff like that, and then that's the one that like sent me overseas and like all over the place because people were really interested in that. So we would go ghost hunt and then do seminars and like have a big event.
Because Blood Red Sky was that
A
Australia?
Blood Red Sky was filmed at Chillingham Castle in North
Okay.
England.
North England.
So
Okay.
the Chillingham Castle is the real life Braveheart story. So it's King Longshanks. That's that was his castle right on the Scotland border, and they were looking for William Wallace. So this castle in real life was designed just to torture the Scottish, and that's it. They killed and tortured kids. So it's the real deal, dude. It was built in like 1200 something, and when you walk into this place, I mean, there's a pit. There's a room with a pit that goes 20 feet down with like spears sticking out of it. Like it's the
Oh
real
fuck.
deal torture that all the original torture devices were still in there, and it's huge. And it was just us. It was four of us with our own handheld cameras in there for about 4 days. And you're 4 hours from civilization. You're out in the middle of nowhere. So if anything happens, we had to buy a bunch of groceries before we went because there's nowhere to go. There's not a gas station. There's not a neighbor. There's nothing.
So did you sleep in the castle?
We slept in the castle. The castle has
Fuck that.
the castle can be rented out, so people can go there and like they built an addition onto the side of this castle that has like rooms. So they're like rooms with kitchens and beds and stuff like that, which are all still very haunted. Like it's not a pleasurable experience unless you're really really into it. Um, unless that's what you want. But I mean, for me, it was not a great experience. I mean, there was no sleep. I'm just terrified. There's journals inside these rooms of all the guests that have stayed there that write down their experiences in the room, and people's suitcases have been thrown down the stairs at them, and like so it just wasn't a very relaxing environment for me. We'll put it that way.
Well, I imagine like over the course of being there for 4 days, you're not sleeping, therefore you
No.
become sleep deprived, which just makes everything so much more worse.
Yes. So
And
now
yeah,
now
yeah.
your mind is creating um you know, I always say this. I always tell this to people when they ask me, "Are ghosts real?" or "Have you ever seen a ghost?" or anything like that. I always say, if I told you right now that my house, my basement is haunted, and there's an old guy that haunts it, you know what I mean, and he does this, or he whistles, or he sings this song, and if I get that in your head and I put you down there and have you spend the night down there for 3 days, you're going to hear that. Whether it's real or not, a lot of it is just, in my opinion, it's what your mind creates. So your mind's just a very powerful thing. And I think that a lot of people's paranormal experiences come from people telling them that this is what happens in this room. And then you go shut yourself in this room for hours or days. And eventually I think your mind just kind of creates this thing that you're expecting.
So then, as clearly a skeptic and having done all this shit, do you still not necessarily believe that ghosts are real?
So over all of my years of doing this, I can't tell you if a ghost is real or not. I've heard some things. I've seen things fly across rooms. I've seen things on cameras that we've had set up that I can't describe. But it's, to me, it's like, if there's Sasquatches, how come we don't have a clear video of a Sasquatch? You know what I mean? So if all these places are so haunted and people go all the time and they set up cameras everywhere, how come there isn't just crazy mass amount of evidence of these things? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's, you watch ghost hunting shows and stuff, and it's like, they see a little flicker of a light or something, and it's like, oh my god, the place is haunted. But it's like, if the place is so haunted, how come it's just not on cameras all the time? So I believe that there are ghosts, but I believe in evil. So I have like felt evil. So I believe I've been to Waverly Hills Sanitarium and have had feelings in my stomach that I've never felt in my entire life right before everybody got sick. I remember standing in the parking lot of that place. I remember several of us excited to go inside of this place. And as we're driving, everybody started feeling ill. And then by the time we got to the parking lot, everybody's demeanor changed and everybody was sick. It felt like we had food poisoning. And I almost think it was whatever was in this, whatever was, whatever existed inside of this building was telling us, hey, dude, this ain't for you. Don't come in. You know what I mean? And I've talked to enough people. The lady who runs Waverly Hills Sanitarium, she, I don't know if you know about Waverly Hills or if the people listening do, but it was an old, um, it was an old tuberculosis hospital that they put way outside of Louisville, Kentucky when tuberculosis first started, like the outbreak of it, because they didn't know what it was. So they wanted these people that were sick far away from the city. So here's this huge hospital that's four, four, 4 stories tall. I mean, each floor is the length of a football field, and it's just tiny room after tiny room. There's just thousands of rooms on each floor,
Shit.
and this place was full of these patients, and they didn't know what tuberculosis was, and they didn't know how to treat it. So they did experimental surgeries, and like one of the surgeries was, while these people are a lot awake, they're sticking needles through their rib cage to puncture one of their lungs, hoping that that would make the other lung heal itself and get stronger. So like these people are suffocating to death. And anyways, so many people were dying that they have an actual death chute. So in the bottom of the building, there's a room that just goes to this really long tunnel that has stairs on each side of it, and then like a chute, and the workers just kind of pulled bodies down this chute, and the chute was like a mile long, and then it went into like this river. So this
Fuck.
death, they call it the death chute. It's terrifying, dude. We
Yeah.
tried to walk. We tried to walk the death chute. We got about 15 feet in, dude, and I've never seen grown men, like, we were shaking, like it was terrifying. But then it turned into a kind of like a psychiatric ward, and there's a lot of studies of malpractice. Um, these people getting mistreated by the staff or whatever. So it's just a real ugly place. A lot of ugly things have happened there, and this lady just kind of bought it, because the city was going to tear it down, and she wanted to keep it in existence, obviously, because it was a money maker, because all these
Hmm.
people in the world that want to go to these world's most haunted places. I mean, it has a gift shop now and everything. So um, but sitting down and talking with her before I went in, I'm terrified. So I'm like asking her, I'm like, hey, am I going to be in danger? Like, what goes on here? Supposedly there's this thing called the priest that haunts it. And she says that sometimes you'll see him peek around the corner, and he has like this big top hat on, and he's like 7 feet tall, and they call him the priest. And she has all these different names for all these spirits. Well, she like accepts them. So she's sitting there telling me that at night she'll walk these hallways by herself because people break in and vandalize it. So there's graffiti all over it. So people vandalize it. So there's security, and she walks
each floor every night. And she says she swears by this and says as she's walking down these hallways, she can feel all these spirits holding her. They'll be holding her hand and running their hands through her hair because they treat her like she's their mother because she owns the place. So she's like not terrified at all. And she like talks to these spirits, and she says, security guards have said they've been held down, like somebody was jumped on them and was choking them, and all these crazy stories. But the craziest story she told me, and this would lead back to like why I believe in evil over spirits. The craziest story that she told me was she was walking down the hall and she all of a sudden smelled like the most putrid, horrible smell she's ever smelled in her life. And at the end of the hallway was like an all white German Shepherd just sitting there, just like staring at her.
Was it real?
She doesn't know. She thought that a dog got in. So as she walks up, this dog vanishes. And her theory, and a lot of people's theory about evil, is that, evil spirits and stuff like that, part of their punishment is they can't come back in human form. So they come back as an animal form or some sort of deformed somehow. And there's always like this stench that follows them. I think if you've ever seen the movie Dogma or whatever, there's like, they talk about that, but there's always this stench that kind of follows evil around. And on that same trip, after we all felt sick, we were sitting in the middle of the hallway on the third floor. We all had our backs to each other. And down the hallway, you could just hear what sounded like something just running as fast as they could at us. And it's pitch black. So you just hear footsteps just and as it got close.
Even as I speak, the scourge of advertising could be heading toward your town. Lock your doors, bar your windows, because the next advertisement you see could destroy your house and eat your family.
We'll be right back.
So we hear this thing running down the hallway at us.
Mm.
And it got so close that I kind of bent over. I thought it was going to run into us. And then you could hear it cut behind us into this room, and then it was done. Silence. And then it was instantly followed by the worst smell I have ever smelled in my life. Enough to where we had to leave, like we were gagging. And I can't even describe that smell, man. I've never smelled anything like it. And something was running down that hallway at us. And there were 3 other groups in the building at the same time on different floors. And all of us at the same time ended up right back at the front door with all these crazy stories of this smell, almost as if this thing was pushing us out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So we left and we never went back. And that's when I started kind of like studying on, like evil entities and spirits and stuff like that. And that's the point of the story, I guess, is I believe in good and evil, man. And I think that I've seen evil, I've smelled evil, I've witnessed evil, I've heard evil. There's crazy stories that I've heard throughout my years of meeting people. I've done seminars with people who assist in exorcisms for a living. And how many of them they do a week, and how many of them are like, schizophrenic people. But then there's also unexplainable stuff that happens. And I talked to a lot of these people, and they were just like, yeah, dude, they were like, evil exists. Like evil exists over ghosts. So that's always kind of been my theory on it.
It's an interesting take on it. I've never experienced evil. I have gone on like ghost hunting trips or whatever.
Right.
I have seen stuff, experienced stuff, but nothing to that extent by any means. I also think it's fucking wild that for $30 you can go explore Waverly Hills with a group of people, or $1,000 throughout the whole place to yourself.
Yeah, which seems usually a really long wait list. We went before all that, but now if you go there, dude, they walk you out through a gift shop. I mean, it's just turned into this big. I don't know. I haven't been there in years. I don't know what it looks like now, but when we went, it was pretty raw. Like they weren't letting people in there, but they let us in there because we had some names attached to us, and companies we were working for that had the big bucks. So
yeah, it seems like if you can make money off of anything, like true crime is a thing They found a way to make money off of it. Paranormal
Right.
became a really big thing. They found a way to make money off of it. Like there's the Sheboygan County Mental Institute. Like they reopened that and you can go get tickets. Like the dudes from TV shows and shit have come and you can go on these tours. And I'm like,
Right.
it's fucking cool. But if you go with a bunch of people, like the complaints I heard, and obviously you've never had to experience this, but they would take like buses of people and half the
Yeah.
bus gets shit hammered because it's Wisconsin. And then you ruin it for the people that actually give a fuck.
Yeah.
So, and I'd imagine that that's what a lot of these become is just drunk
It's
people.
all turned, especially with like how big these ghost hunting shows got. It almost turned into a business. People are buying up these haunted places. It's just, you know, they have tour guides and it's just, yeah. It got I don't know, sold out. It got sold out a little bit in a sense, but you know, a lot of these places that we've been to, the city like wants to tear them down, and then people just buy them, and then you know, get a manager for them or whatever, and turn them into a bed and breakfast, and you can stay at a haunted bed and breakfast. Or
Well, shit, the house from the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a restaurant. The
right,
gas station's a restaurant now too,
right,
which is
right.
cool, but also like, where do
It's
we fucking
cool, but
stop?
it's just like, yeah, you'll never experience it for what it is
No,
ever.
no.
So that was the cool thing about some of the places I went to. We went when they were really raw. So this is like before there were ghost hunting shows. So it wasn't as popular. The vibe was just a lot different.
So outside of Waverly Hills, like what is, I guess, the next most memorable place? And Chillingham Castle, I guess, would be up there too. But
Chillingham was pretty scary. Waverly was much more scary. Waverly's probably the scariest place I've ever been in my life. Chillingham had like just kind of a feeling to it. Nothing really crazy happened in Chillingham. It just kind of felt like a blanket was over you the whole time. You know what I mean? It was a dark place, and it was old, and it's a castle, and it's cold, and you just felt like you were in a movie. You know, like you felt like you were in Braveheart.
correct me if I'm wrong and tell me if you want me to pull this out. But Chad dosed you there, right?
Chad did a placebo effect on me.
Okay.
So what Chad?
Because that fucking pissed me off.
But I
was not happy.
But I busted him out because so before, if you see a blood red sky, months prior to going to that, Chad and Justin both were dropping these hints on me, like, "Hey, we found." One time, Justin goes, "Hey, we got a camera guy from England that's going to be there filming with us, and he also owns like a hallucinogenic shop. I don't know what you call him, but he's also into hallucinogenics, and he owns this shop." And I'm just thinking, okay, well, then I don't care about that. He's just there to film. And then as it got closer, Chad's like, "Yeah, we're all going to be doing experiments." And eventually they pretty much kind of prepped me to be freaked out. And then by the time it was my time to do my solo investigation, led me to believe that I took a hallucinogenic, which I did not want to do, especially in a haunted castle. So I freaked out so bad. And even behind the cameras, I was like ready to throw down. I was like, dude, this is actually not cool. This is not cool to do to me.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know what I mean? And then it turned into, okay, well, a lot of apologies and, hey, like, let's just continue filming, but we actually didn't give you anything. They gave me a muscle relaxer, and, it was a muscle relaxer, but when they gave it to me, they had it wrapped up in this little thing. And I don't know, it was just a weird thing. I thought it was like dipped in something. Anyways, he ended up being like, dude, we were just going to try to do a placebo effect. We were going to see if you thought you were on a hallucinogen, if you would have hallucinated or seen stuff. And, you know, it turned into a lot of apologies. And then we ended up filming and still got some great stuff.
But like the point you made earlier is your brain is incredibly powerful. Had you gone on that solo adventure thinking you were going to hallucinate and you had a muscle relaxer in you, which inherently will fuck with you a little bit,
right,
100% you would have seen shit, and it probably wouldn't have ended well.
So the discussion, while thinking that I took something, I went back to my room and I was trying to throw up, and Chad walked in behind me and he's like, "Hey dude, just relax." And I was like in his face, and I was like, "Look, dude," I said, "if you gave me something and I'm going to hallucinate, then I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm walking out the fucking front door, and
your boy is going to be out there in the fucking wilderness by himself because I'm not staying in this fucking castle. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you're not going to get me to stay in this castle. I'm just going to go out there and deal with whatever I deal with, but I'm not going to be in this castle. And then, like, it was face to face, man. Like, I was ready to fight a little bit. And
For anyone listening, if you don't know, you're like what, 6'3", 6'4"?
6'5".
And 6'5", yeah, you're a fucking tall dude, and you're an imposing figure. So if you're in, and I've never met Chad face to face, thank God.
Chad's
but
a big dude too.
I know he's a big dude. I had to buy him a 5X shirt he never wore. But yeah, so I mean, if you were in my face, I would feel very, very fucking small. So
Yeah, but I mean, if anybody knows me, I'm a teddy bear, man. I couldn't even tell you a fight I've ever been in, and they all knew that too. So that's why he saw how serious that was, because
yeah.
he's never seen me like that. You know what I mean? And then that's when he was like, "Hey, Joey, 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 it was a joke. It was a joke. I swear to God." And like I'm so sorry, and we can stop, and blah blah blah. And then we ended up just following through with the shoot, and I still went in there, sober or whatever on a muscle relaxer, but that's nothing I've never done before. And it was kind of like a cool little moment for me, you know what I mean? Like, something about that build up and being so angry and then feeling so relieved kind of put me at peace in this like moment of being in one of the scariest rooms on planet Earth, you know what I mean? That I've been scared for months to go into. For months I've been scared to go into this place. And all of a sudden I went in there like with this fuck you attitude, like I just kind of felt at peace, you know what I mean? Like, and the hour went by pretty quick. And and anyone who doesn't, if you've watched Blood Red Sky, I did my solo investigation for an hour in actual Henry Longshank's room, which is trippy as shit. So the room, and the room, you walk up these windy staircase all the way to the top. It's like one of the top towers. And then there's just, in this room, it's a huge, wide open room. There's just this huge bed right in the middle. And then there's two platforms on top where his guards would stand while he slept because so many people wanted to kill him. So there's just this huge room, and you can hear everything echo. There's bats flying around everywhere. I can like feel the bats like swooping my head. And if you watch like the video, there's no lights, so I just have a handheld camera, and all I can see is through my little flip out lens in the night vision. And that's all I had. So I can't see anything. But then afterwards, watching back at all the footage, what I was filming, you could just see bats just everywhere. Hundreds of them just swooping at my head while I'm having this weird, peaceful moment in one of the scariest places on planet Earth. It was very strange, man. It was very, very strange.
It almost makes me want to go back and watch it, but
it was very strange. Yeah. There wasn't much as far as production and film wise, like I said, we did it guerrilla style. So there wasn't any there's no fancy cameras. I mean, this is all old school, whatever they're called. What were those tapes? Little Hi8 tapes or whatever. And you get the little flip out, the little handheld cameras with the flip out screen. That's what we filmed all this on.
Huh. Now that's gonna fucking bother me. I want to say Super 8, but I think Super 8's older than Hi8.
Super 8 might be it. I don't know.
Fuck. You're asking the wrong person.
I don't know anything about technology. That was that experience. So that was a very memorable experience for sure. And there was a lot of tension and a lot of arguing. A lot of stuff went into making that little film. But Chad's always on the filmmaking side, so I know Chad on two sides. I know Chad on the music side and the filmmaking side. And on the filmmaking side, Chad is 100% one of those filmmakers that will do whatever it takes to get the right shot. You know what I mean? He'll do whatever. As long as it gets him the shot, then he'll do whatever. And he just, he saw how concerned I was, and he shut it down, man. He told me what was going on and all that stuff. And I'm glad he did. I could still be in North England right now, just fucking living with the wolves or something. I don't know.
Fuck, man. Yeah, I think I saw Red when I thought he had dosed you, and I was just like, this is fucking stupid.
Yeah, but everybody did. Mary Beth, who was on the set, was telling him, like, dude, you got to go tell him, like, you can't let this happen, and blah, 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 blah. So a lot of people were concerned about going a little too far with that one.
Just, it's an odd choice, but I guess when you're trying to separate yourself from the herd of all these other shows,
Yeah.
Not that I condone his actions or any of that, but
No, and
um,
nobody condoned his actions. I mean, that this is when we went all around the world uh, doing touring for this film. So we were doing people were like spending money to hang out with us for weekends, and we were doing Q&As and all that stuff. And almost everybody who talked to me was said the same thing, said the same exact thing. Like that was horrible, and I would never
yeah,
condone that. But but to a filmmaker who really wants to prove a point, like I understand the idea. I
hmm
mean, I understand the placebo effect idea. I mean, that's how they test medicine. You know what I mean? Like it's just how powerful is your mind? Can you convince yourself that you're hallucinating and actually hallucinate? Stuff like that. But even if I did hallucinate, you're not going to see what I saw on camera. That's not going to
right.
be on the film. You know what I mean? That's just going to be what I'm seeing. So then it's just me looking like a fucking idiot. Then now all that you see on camera as the viewer is just this guy who thinks he's hallucinating, but he's not, being a lunatic. You know what I mean?
Well, and it probably would have been more effective had he done nothing and just sent you out there knowing that you're uncomfortable to begin with in a very scary fucking location.
Correct. Which is where the state that I was already in.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been my role in everything that we've done. In everything we've done, and I think that's why originally Yahoo liked me. Um, you never watch a ghost hunting show where there's an actual cast member who truly hates being there. You know what I mean?
True.
Like these people all love it, and they're out and they're in the rooms and they're yelling and making noise, and and I'm sitting there going, dude, don't make a noise. I don't want to hear a fucking noise, man. And I'm sitting there with Chad, and he's going, there's a supposedly a ghost. The main torture chamber guy is supposed to be one of the ghosts in Chillingham Castle. And I remember sitting in the church area. There's in this castle, there's a church, and we're sitting on these pews, and Chad's like screaming his name and calling him a pussy. And I'm like going, dude, do not, like, don't. Why are you doing that? I'm genuinely terrified. And a lot of ghost hunting shows didn't have that person. And I think that's why they liked me. And I think that's why I was a part of it for as long as I was, because I was probably the most realistic, like average person in that situation. And nobody had
Mhm.
ever really seen anybody on camera like that, because most ghost hunting shows are actually, two, three, four people that are really passionate about it. Well, now you
Well,
got a
that and
guy. Now you got a guy that's just as scared as you are watching it. You're sitting there going, dude, there's no way you could ever get me in that building. And you're watching a guy who's like, dude, there's no way I want to be in this fucking building. Like, so you kind of relate to that character.
and so if the opportunity arose, would you ever do this again?
It would have to be some different circumstances. I would have to, dude. I'll be honest, man. I've had opportunities, and like right now, no. I would love to like revisit some of these places just to kind of like refeel, just to kind of refeel it in a weird way.
Well, $30, we can go to Waverly Hills. I'll pick you up in Chicago. Let's go.
You couldn't pay me to go back to Waverly Hills, dude. I couldn't. I can feel right now the feeling I had driving. You drive up this hill, then you get to the top of this hill, then all of a sudden you just see it, and it's just that's a feeling I never want to feel again. So you couldn't pay me to go to Waverly, West Virginia State Penitentiary. You couldn't pay me, but I would do like Villisca Axe Murder House or with some friends or something like
Yeah.
that. But those big places that I've like felt evil in, I feel like they'd remember me and be like, "Did you not learn your fucking lesson?" You know what I mean? Like,
Oh fuck yeah.
and I have a story. I have a quick story about this. So this is why I think that they would remember me, or remember anybody for that fact. We did a thing in Pennsylvania at this haunted house that like George Washington and his troops stayed in. It's like this. It's just this house. I don't know, but we have a friend who bought it, and he was going to restore it, and he ended up living there with his family, and crazy shit was happening to him and his family. But they were like so used to it that it didn't, like, they had, I remember talking to his daughters, and she's telling me these stories about waking up in the middle of the night and seeing this lady and following her into the kitchen, and then like she thought it was fun, and like she told me the story and I'm freaking out, and she thought it was fun to live in a haunted house. So some people are just, I don't get it. But the owner of it was a guy named Glenn, And Glenn would tell me stories about one night he woke up to the phone ringing and he answered, and on the phone was his own voice. And it was a time where in the house he was having an argument with his wife. So he answered the phone, and all he heard on the phone was him yelling at his wife from a few months ago when they had this argument. You know what I
That's
mean?
it's
So
fucking
just
wild.
weird shit happened at this house. Well, we had this big thing there, like 30 people came. We camped on the property. We did these Q&As, and we brought in all these people. And we brought in this one guy who lives in Pennsylvania, and he assists in exorcisms. And I was infatuated. So I at the end of the night, this guy's sitting by himself, and I sat down next to him, and I was like, dude, I gotta know, is this shit real? Like, is this shit real? And he's like, yes, absolutely. He goes, I do 5 of them a week. I've been called upon by the Pope. I go all over the world, and I assist in these exorcisms. And he goes, I've seen some unexplainable things, and I've also seen, people that are just schizophrenic. And he said there's this one time he was in Spain, and he went, and the second he got off the plane, he was nervous. And he said, I've never been nervous in my entire life. That's why I do this. He goes, I've never once been nervous. Nothing about this
Mhm.
scares me. He goes, I had this weird nervous feeling. And he goes, I got to the guy's house. And it was an old guy that didn't speak any English. And I'm holding his legs while the priest is doing his thing. And this guy's just going crazy. And he's just speaking in tongues. You know what I mean? Stuff that you would imagine you'd see on a movie. And all of a sudden, he said, this guy looked at me, stopped dead in his tracks, looked at me, and in perfect English said, you're having an off day. I then went back to whatever. This guy's never spoke English his whole life. So that's when he told me, he goes, that's when I knew that they knew me.
Mhm.
And they knew that I was nervous, and that evil is one entity. And this evil that was in him knew me and knew I was nervous and told me that I was having an off day, like he was mocking me. And that's like my theory, that stuck with me more than anything. So, you know what I mean? Who's to say if I go back to Waverly Hills,
Right.
whatever this thing that was running down the hallway that smelled like shit isn't going to go, oh, you didn't learn your lesson. Okay, so let's step it up a notch. You know what I mean?
So you had mentioned earlier that we talked about the whole mind is a powerful thing, and everyone collectively kind of felt off going to Waverly Hills. The
Yeah.
closer you got, the worse everyone felt. At any point leading up to experiencing something there, did you possibly think that it was maybe just like groupthink? Everyone kind of made each other a little more uncomfortable, and that's where that feeling came from?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Because, in lots of situations, you feed off the people around you.
Mhm.
So maybe, but the weird thing is we were all. You know who was there with me? Greg Moog from Black Flood Diesel.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
Greg was there on that trip. So Greg was there with us. And Greg and me still talk about it every time I see him.
Mhm.
Greg's like, dude, I've never felt that in my life. And I was like, yeah, dude, I haven't either. And I remember on the way there, we were just joking and everybody was having a good time. And we were just bullshitting. And like, there was a bunch of band guys and we were just talking. And then all of a sudden, we just like something switched in all of us. And like our attitudes, our demeanors changed. We all felt sick. It was just a weird, I don't
Were
know.
you originally excited to go?
No,
Okay. So it would make
I
sense
was not
then.
excited to go.
Yeah.
But some of the
everyone
people that were
else
with
is.
us were.
Mhm.
Some of the people that were with us were like the lead singer from the band 10 Years, Jesse. He was there with us, and I remember he was like, "This shit ain't real." He's like, "I can't wait to get in there and show you guys this isn't real." Like he's a huge skeptic. Like, and Greg, my buddy Greg's just down to have a good time. I don't think Greg really cares where he's at. Greg just is just happy to be with his friends and be somewhere. And I don't want to go, but I feel comfortable because I'm with people that I know. That I can like, I don't know. There's certain people you feel safe around when you're in a haunted building.
For sure.
But just in a matter of seconds, like all of us just like this cloud just came over all of it. Everybody, dude, the cameramen, everybody. And it was just
That's
this
fucking wild.
strange feeling, man. I honestly believe, for me, I honestly believe that as we were coming up that driveway, something was saying, you guys should just turn around. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I'd get out of here. And I don't know. I think I've had a few sidekicks. I've had some people in the industry tell me when they first met me that I shouldn't be doing this because I'm sensitive to it, which doesn't make you feel any more safe or comfortable. But Lorraine Warren, the famous Lorraine Warren, she came to West Virginia State Penitentiary to film with us once, and we were doing the webisode stuff. She was going to be like our special guest. I had never met this lady in my life, but obviously everybody knows who she is.
Mhm.
Amityville, you know, everybody knows Lorraine in the ghost hunting world. And I've never met this woman in my life. And everyone's like, yeah, she's so nice. And I can't wait for you to meet her. And they went and picked her up. And we're sitting in the like cafeteria of this prison, just us. And she walks in and she gives Chad a hug. And then she turns around and just stares at me. And she just goes, like in her voice, she just goes, "Oh, honey." She goes, "What are you doing here? You don't belong here." And I looked at Chad, dude, like I looked at Chad and I go, "Are you fucking kidding me right now?" And she goes, "You don't belong here. You're too sensitive," or something like that. I'm like, dude, this lady doesn't even know me, but she's like the most
Mhm.
famous ghost hunter on planet Earth. Or go, I don't even. She's not a ghost hunter. She just helps people. She helped people who had evil, like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean. She helped them. And
I'm
her
sure
first
that didn't
word,
help your overall feeling of being there in the first
no, I
place.
was done, dude. I was
Yeah.
done. I was anxiety, panic attack, everything that I had to do. Going to the bathroom, I was trying to get people to walk with me. Like I was thinking, dude, if Lorraine just told me I shouldn't be here. What's that mean? Does that mean that these spirits, or in her opinion, these spirits know that I'm sensitive to them, so they're gonna attach to me more? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, it just wasn't a good feeling. But so,
So
and I've had a lot of people tell me that.
have you had any like residuals after the fact? Like you mentioned being attached. So I mean, like nothing
So
has followed you out, have it?
I lived in a house when I first started doing this. So after Waverly Hills and after West Virginia State Penitentiary, I lived in a house on the south side, and I lived upstairs, and I had a roommate that lived downstairs. And I was on a trip for a weekend, um, and I came home on like a Sunday. I was gone for like 2 or 3 days. I came home and he was laying down watching TV, and he looked at me. He saw a bag in my hand. He goes, "Where have you been?" I was like, "Dude, I think I was in Vegas or something. I don't know." I was like, "I was in Vegas for a few days." And his eyes, dude, he goes, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "I could hear you." He goes, "I thought you were here the whole time." He goes, "I could hear you walking upstairs. I heard your alarm going off. I could hear the TV be on or off, like you were up there watching TV, like all this stuff." And that's the only thing. So I don't know if that house just, if something happened in that house to him, but it happened after I had visited these two places that I just did not like.
Mhm.
But I never heard anything in the house at all. Just he did when I was gone. So I don't know what that means, but it's creepy.
Sounds like you're a shitty roommate.
Mm-hmm. Probably.
Yeah, could be worse. Um, so I mean, outside of I mean, we've covered a lot. Do you have any other great stories? I don't want to keep you up too late. I'm also fucking an old man and tired. So, and we had technological issues up the ass.
I don't. My good story. That's just my ghost hunting life. We should do a band talk sometime.
Oh, for sure.
We should do a separate band talk
I'm 100%
podcast
down for that.
sometime, and get some of the old school guys in there to talk about the glory days.
Fuck yeah. I'm sure I could get Nathan in here.
Oh
I
yeah.
was talking to Brad when we were trying to figure this shit out too. So I mean, there's no shortage of people. So this weekend we played with Swap Murders in Milwaukee. Their singer Donnie was in Primer 55.
Oh
And then we
God.
were like fucking standing out on the street, like talking about all the bands we played with and all the years. And, you know, Ken played with their fucking bass player in some band in like the late 90s. So, Dad, it was wild. So, yeah, a trip down memory lane would be
I
quite a
love
good
it.
time. Yeah.
We have my buddy's a DJ here in Des Moines, and this Saturday he's doing a big NuMetal set. He's doing a NuMetal night as a DJ set, and he's done it once before, and it's fucking killer. And he brings it all out. But I saw him yesterday, and the one band we were talking about was Primer 55. I was like, you got to put Primer 55 in there.
I mean, there's only like a couple good tracks off the first album. I didn't never listen to the
Well, a
other
lot
two.
of these NuMetal bands just had a few. When the movement came up, a lot of the bands were just one and done, couple bangers. That was it.
Well, that's all you needed at the time. You got one good song, they put you on Ozfest, and then you make a ton of money, and you do all the drugs, and then you're done.
That's it.
Trajectory of a NuMetal band. But
yeah,
no, man, I appreciate it. Yeah, we'll definitely do. If not more ghost stories you think of, we'll do a band one. So Index Case probably a new full length coming out 2025.
Yeah, I'd love that. We actually have 6 or 7 songs written that we never recorded.
That's what I heard.
Josh Ickowitz, our drummer, is really pushing to record. So there's that. I would love to do an album. My favorite part of being in a band wasn't live shows. I liked the studio.
Oh, really?
My favorite part about anything Index Case did was our studio time. I just love creating and like the stuff that just happens while you're in the studio that ends up being cool. But I would love to do another album, and there's some talk. Right now it's just in the talks, but there's a possibility of a final show in Minneapolis in November. So maybe one more show in November in Minneapolis.
Well, if it happens, I'll be there.
But I got to get 3 other guys on board, which, you know, when you get older, just to get us all in the same room takes fucking a month.
And I believe one of those is going to be more difficult than the other 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens.
Absolutely.
Either way. Well, yeah, so you got that, Middle West, your clothing company.
Middle West is the clothing company. That's what we decided to do after the band stopped. We still wanted an excuse to get together and hang out, so started a company called Middle West, and we're launching. We're doing photos in a few weeks, and then we're going to launch a new website for it, and it's just kind of a fun little clothing company. We got all types of shit.
Fuck yeah.
That's middlewestorbust.com for all of our stuff, but that's kind of what I'm doing now, man. We're doing it like we would do the band, so
right.
We have we get together once a week and have meetings and have drinks, of course. And we usually don't talk about Middle West, and we just talk about old Index Case shows that we remember, and that was the point of the clothing line, was to just kind of keep us together and hanging out.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing at our age, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it. But outside of that, what else? There was another thing I felt like I was going to mention. I fucking forgot it because I have awful memory. But
it's all good. I think you got it all, man.
The important ones.
Oh,
your fucking flooring business.
Flooring business. Yeah.
Half the fun of being your friend on Facebook is seeing this shit. Quick story for you, but we had like our basement didn't really flood, but we had a shit ton of water come in because we had like 7 inches of rain in the course of 3 days, and we had to rip all the carpet out. And I remember talking to Brad, and I was like, God, if Joe wasn't so fucking far away, I would just have him come, because we talked about just sealing the concrete.
Right.
Because your shit's incredible. So make sure you pitch that too.
I appreciate that. I own a decorative concrete company called Creative Concrete Designs here in Des Moines. So I like to do a lot of custom work. I can make your little fantasy floor come to reality. So I do a lot of bars and man caves and stuff like that. So that's how I figured out how I can be an artist and actually make money, which is nice. I would rather be a musical artist, but that ain't cutting it when it comes to money.
And so we both learned that doesn't pay the bills.
Yeah, no, not even close. No.
All right, man. Well, if you want to push social media or whatever, that's up to you. I'll let you. You can do that now, but I don't know.
I'm good, man.
That's exactly that's what I thought.
I don't have any good like ghost hunting stuff online or anything like that, but
for anyone that listens to this and you know how much I love music, check out Index Case. I know if you've watched any of my Twitch drum streams, you've heard it there. Even when I did games, it would probably be played before I came on. So Once again, Joe, I really, really, really appreciate this. I'm glad we were able to finally make it happen. We'll make another one happen.
Gotta make it happen.
yes, we'll do it again with less technology issues. Fucking fingers crossed. So,
Have you ever thought something you forgot? Why